Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features X-Men Volume 2, number 52, cover dated May 1996. And the focus of this cover is Bishop. The cover is by Andy Kubert, inked by Cam Smith. We've got a cover caption, The Agony of Memory. And on either side of Strung Up Bishop, you have got his memories of himself in the Age of Apocalypse. And over here, his arrival into the present day, which was chronicled in Uncanny X-Men 282 when he and his two lieutenants, Malcolm and Randall, arrived from the future in chase of Trevor Fitzroy. So let's open this issue up to the splash page, and it's a pretty cool splash page here featuring Gambit. The narrative caption just catches readers up on what happened in the previous issue, but that close-up there on Gambit is interesting because something I pointed out about Andy Kubert's work in issue number 50 is his attention now to anatomically correct number of teeth. So Gambit's got like 28 teeth in his mouth. But on the one hand, you have that fidelity to how many teeth people have in their mouth. And on the other hand, look how wide his jaw is open. That's physically impossible pretty much. So you've got artistic license and exaggeration on the one hand, and then verisimilitude with the number of teeth on the other. Kind of strange. But a pretty wild opening splash page. And then we get a very cool double page spread following on from that. And the title of the story, Collector's Item. The collector in question is Mr. Sinister. And the creative team, Mark Waid story, Andy Kubert pencils, Cam Smith inks, Richard Starkings and Comicraft on the digital lettering, and Marie Javins with Malibu enhancement on the digital colors. So this is a really excellent double page spread. We've got a top down angle on Bishop and Gambit. They're riding the engine of a train that is out of control and pulling into Penn Station, and there's a plague virus on board which transforms ordinary humans into mutants. But I like the perspective here of the train arcing round in the background. You can see how long it is, and then you've got the scrubland and this kind of industrial complex in the background as well. Andy Kubert paying very nice attention to details like that, setting the scene, and then all this energy coming off of Gambit as he kinetically charges the engine of the train. He's got a plan, but Bishop doesn't know what it is. And he reiterates the dialogue that was given him at the end of the previous issue. Remy, what are you doing? Are you insane? You've got us riding a 20-ton bomb straight into New York City. So that's our opening. Those are the stakes. So Gambit explains, that's up to you, mon ami. We go and try a brand new trick. You've got to climb down the front of the train now. So Bishop goes down the front of the train. He's hanging on, and Gambit continues to explain. He says, you can absorb and rechannel any kind of power, yeah? I don't think I like where this is going, says Bishop. Tough. I'm loading this engine with pure kinetic energy. That's my job. It's going to be up to you to ride the rails. And I like this shot here that bleeds off the page of Bishop's feet just hovering above the ground there. And we can see Manhattan coming into or like the train is en route to Manhattan there in the distance. A great worm's eye view of Bishop clinging onto the front of the engine there. Really great angles that Andy Kubert is using in his panels in this particular issue. And I can't help but comment on this one-page ad for Thor over here. And this was a advertising campaign that was all about putting the character back in comics. It seems to me to be something of a little swipe at Image Comics in particular. Marvel at the time up against it in competition with Image, having lost all of their major artists to Image, but still having much better characters than Image is the boast of the advertising campaign. But I like the design of them, where it's mostly a white background and just a close-up on or a full figure shot of one of the heroes. And this one drawn by Mike Deodato, and it is taken from a 4-issue run written by Warren Ellis that was actually quite good, called World Engine, and it was collected soon afterwards because of its popularity. Any case, back to the story, because this opening sequence is pretty cool and really well drawn by Andy Kubert. So we've got Bishop there, kind of like in a Superman type scenario, right in front of the train and sucking all the energy in from the engine. So Gambit saying, that's it, push, load up on my power till you want to pop. You know what? I'm just going to say it, like there's a whole kind of Freudian perspective on what's going on here between these two former enemies, and some of the language here and the fact that the train is speeding towards a tunnel and everything. There is a whole Freudian way of reading this scene, but I'm not going to say anything more about it than that if you want to look into it for yourself. So Gambit is determined that Bishop load up on more power, that he hold on now, not yet, now. So this is a nice little panel sequence here where we've got Bishop basically stopping the train. He's turned around here and he's stopped the train. It reminds me of a scene in Uncanny X-Men 218, which was Mark Silvestri's first on the title, where Rogue stopped a train in Scotland. Put me in mind of that. In any case, Gambit here, you did it. You did it. So he did. He stopped the train. So a pretty cool, visually speaking, sequence. Not sure about some of the dialogue, which, as I said, could be read a little differently if you were so inclined. Gambit jumps down from the top of the engine, and Bishop asks him, how many times have you tried that trick? Counting this one? We both wasted, friend. There we go again. But don't collapse on me. This crisis ain't over. We got to find the beast. But who showed up at the end of the previous issue except for Sinister? It was his experiment, the virus on the train. And so he's taken out the beast, and now he takes out both Gambit and Bishop, and that's because they don't have full access to their powers after all the effort of stopping the train. I've said it before many times, but Andy Kubert does a really, really good version of Mr. Sinister. That's very cool, and I like the way that he uses the fronds of Mr. Sinister's cape for designy effect like that. Very visually interesting. So Sinister says, I wouldn't worry about him, the beast that is. I've taken care of beast just as I will take care of you for interfering with my plans. So swears Sinister. So Sinister there, talking like a Silver Age villain. And then we've got an interesting little domestic scene. We haven't seen Rogue in the title since issue 45, which was Fabian Nicieza's last one. And here she is in Pine Bluff, South Carolina. And she's inking a contract on a rental agreement with this woman here and her child there. Her toddler is playing the game, got your nose, so he's reaching out for Rogue, and Rogue, horrified. Now, it's a bit exaggerated here. Come on. Couldn't she just stepped away without giving away her absolute horror of being touched by anyone? She seems like such a nice girl, doesn't she, Stevie? Says the woman. Get away. No, get away. But nice close-up there and upshot on Rogue's face. So, of course, the woman is very icy then after that. You don't like children? And Rogue explains, no, it's not like that. It's just I'm not feeling like myself. Don't want to give him anything, like a coma, she thinks. Interesting shot this, where Kubert has chosen this low angle and we're looking at the feet of the characters, but a reflection on the cleaned floor of Rogue. Interesting idea. So Andy Kubert trying things visually with his art. And then we get a news report on the television. Eyewitnesses claim one or more derailed on Amtrak Metroliner in New Jersey today. Kent Brockman reports. Kent Brockman from The Simpsons, eh? Interesting, that little reference there by Mark Waid. So the woman says here with her child, I said, don't those mutants just give you the creeps? Don't tell me I've done rented to a mutant lover. So she goes down into the basement, it would appear. Not hardly, ma'am. Believe me, mutants can sure mess up a life. So that's where Rogue is for the moment, and that's the last we see of her in this particular issue. But she's out there trying to live a normal life and kind of slightly failing at it there already. So Penn Station, that's where the train was stopped, just outside Penn Station. And so here we've got the regular authorities investigating the whole situation, and we have this news crew here taking pictures, but the camera is taken off this guy, and who he is recognized by this news reporter. He's on our team, kinda. Actually, he's more a team all his own, got his own methods and his own agenda. Buzz is, you don't ever want to cross Bastion. So a new character here, and of course we don't get to see him properly. He's pretty much in silhouette in that image with his hat and coat. So we're going to have to wait for another issue to find out who Bastion is and what he's all about. So elsewhere then, it's Mr. Sinister's laboratory. A dull roar with a Cajun accent thunders through Beast's skull. Clearly, he's neither the first in Sinister's lab to awake nor the last. So Gambit is talking there. For the last time, Sinister, I demand to know what you were doing on that train. And Sinister responds, demand, you amuse me. If you must know, as a mutant geneticist, I find myself too quickly running out of subjects upon which to experiment. To that end, I believed I'd created a virus that would spontaneously mutate humans who are, as you know, in tragically great supply. Apparently, however, the effects of the virus are but temporary, lasting only hours. No matter, once I use the facilities of this laboratory to re-engineer the virus, I'll have a world of subjects at my disposal. So that's his plan, and it'll be up to Gambit, Beast and Bishop to stop him. Again, interesting use of perspective here. These kind of top-down angles that disorientate the reader and also show the disorientation of the characters here, in particular Beast, who's only coming into consciousness. And we're going to be reminded that on another page upcoming that the Beast is not himself, is not the real McCoy. Deliberate pun intended. So Bishop is out and Sinister is interested in him because he's got no record of Bishop's birth. He says here that he's talking about how his life's work is finding every scrap of data on every example of Homo superior, every mutant that there's been. And we see in these little panels here that he's got genetic information on Namor Mackenzie. That's Namor, the Submariner, who in the Marvel Universe is he has the reputation of being the first mutant. Peter Rasputin, Ilyana Rasputin. So Sinister interested in families and siblings. Sean Cassidy and Teresa Cassidy interested in parents and children when it comes to mutants. And let's continue. So he says here he knows all mutants intimately, each and every one of them save Bishop. For some reason, I have no record of his birth or existence. I find this troublesome. But now that he's in my grasp, that is easily remedied with a psi scan. So this is where we're getting into our cover image in the story. So the psi scan begins, but our focus isn't on Bishop, instead it's on Beast. And the Beast sweats. He knows Sinister is mistaken, not about Bishop, but about knowing all mutants intimately. For the Beast shackled is not the Hank McCoy of record, he is rather an alternate version, a refugee from a parallel timeline. And that's the Age of Apocalypse. So he doesn't want to be found out by Sinister. And meanwhile, Sinister's psi scan is working and showing up on screen. We've got Bishop there, and he's realizing that Bishop's a time traveler who from the future who came to our era too. And then he gets this bit of information too: to capture a traitor to the X-Men. How interesting. And he's smiling there. But is he smiling because he knows what that is, or something else? Anyway, Beast here is whispering over to Gambit. Gambit, for God's sake, extricate yourself while he's not looking. We haven't much time. So Gambit says, can't. The bonds, they dampen my power. I'm stuck. And now Sinister sees images from the Age of Apocalypse with Magneto and Magneto's son Charles. He holds memories of another world. This bears investigating. And I really like this. So the Beast is hanging upside down and the sweat is dripping off his face upwards, but that's down. in terms of like where the floor actually is. That's really nicely done. He's close, too close, he thinks. He sees, once he sees who I am, learns how I fled that world, how long will it take him to track me down? If I'm lucky, he'll settle for enslaving me to learn my secrets. So this beast's experience of Sinister is the Sinister from Age of Apocalypse, who was an even more hardcore version of the Sinister in this dimension. So it's intriguing that thought that he'd be enslaved as well. So he's there whispering urgently to Gambit, try harder. So Gambit starts screaming, and that catches Sinister's attention. Really interesting panel here where you've got that really tight close-up on Sinister's eye and just the bridge of his nose there, and these fronds. I think Andy Kubert really enjoys drawing Sinister. What could possibly be causing you pain, LeBeau? He asks. And Beast thinks, better question, why is Sinister taking an interest in Gambit's health? And of course, this is all in the context of the whole question of the X-Trader and whether Gambit is a current agent asset of Sinister's or not. So Gambit is complaining about agony through his body, and Sinister thinks, oh, the mutate virus, you must have contracted it. Stand free before me, LeBeau. While I certainly wouldn't have chosen you as a test subject, I admit I'm curious as to what effect the virus will have on a born mutant. But look in this little panel at the bottom of the page, Gambit has a card in the palm of his hand that he is kinetically charging up. And now what a great double page spread. So he sends it flying at Sinister's equipment. It explodes. He sends another one up here that frees the beast. And the beast tumbles out of his shackles. And Gambit says, I don't see you gathering much more research out of this mess. That's pretty cool. So Sinister, another great image of Sinister there, hunched over and enraged. Gone, it's all gone. How dare you strip me of my life's work? So he blasts Gambit and he comes over towards him and says something intriguing. This is not at all what I'd expect of you, Remy LeBeau. So what on earth does that mean? And the beast has heard it, and he'll be thinking about that a little later in this issue. Well, we're at the end already, in fact. So do tell. And that's Bishop. Bishop is free. He's come to, and he gets right up in Mr. Sinister's face and says to him, you took me down at the train in the previous issue because I was completely spent, Sinister. At the beginning of this issue. I don't have that problem anymore, he says. Now I'm riding the electrical power of your entire lab. Tell me why I shouldn't shove 1 billion volts down your throat. And that's another great upshot of Bishop there with his face snarling and grimacing at Mr. Sinister. And this is an intriguing ending here. Sinister's fronds, the fronds of his cloak, close around him and he teleports away. He says, farewell, Bishop. You may have destroyed my virus, but I have many other plans in motion. Our paths will cross again sooner than you'd expect. So there he is. He's gone. And now we just have the last page aftermath. So the question is, where are they? And Gambit knows. About 10 miles out of St. Louis. We can get word to the professor from there to bring us home. So Gambit says, let's go. And the Beast thinks, St. Louis, did he see that firsthand as we arrived? Or did he know for some other reason? And what was that Sinister said about what he'd expect of Remy? The more I think about it, the clearer it is that Gambit and Sinister share some sort of secret connection. And this has been teased for years now. And he thinks here at the end, what an image of him, what a demonic grin on his face. I suppose I could tell the X-Men, but why give knowledge like that away when I might be able to do something with it? So there we go. That's the end of this 2-part storyline. Mark Waid's arrival as a full writer on the title, and Fabian Nicieza's replacement. So next up, in Uncanny X-Men 333, the X-Men vs. Bastion. In X-Men 53, The Secret of Jean Grey. And let's see what's at the end of the issue. There's 2 pages of letters, mostly about issue 49 of the title. Next month, Onslaught makes his presence known, and Jean Grey may never be the same. And advertisements of the various different X titles. There you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on X-Men number 52. Let me know your thoughts on this issue in the comment section to the video. If you enjoyed my review, please like the video in YouTube. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.